This program was brought to you by Coller Institute of Venture at Tel Aviv University.
My name is Paulo Felisberto. I come from the University of Algarve. I work with in the team in Sintal SIP Lab with Professor Sergio, that is the team leader. We are working 15 years in underwater acoustics, and my talk today is how to use the noise, that usually underwater noise, that usually is a problem, to get information to observe the ocean. So you know that the ocean is vast, and we have little information about the ocean. We have just simply a part of the ocean. We know sound is used, long time used to monitor the ocean. The sonar systems has been used for long, but usually they are active systems. It means that we have a source that emits a signal, and we receive this signal, and we get information because we know what is transmitted, the emitted signal and the received signal. But use sound because light and electromagnetic waves are highly attenuated in the ocean, just can propagate in a few meters, no more than that. So, but sound can propagate to a long distance, and the ocean is noisy. Is a noise environment. There's a lot of noise in the ocean. So why you cannot use noise to get useful information from the ocean? There are different kinds of noise. There are man-made noise by ship, by power plants, the environmental noise, breaking waves, where it's raining, and also biological sounds that, for instance, crustaceans make sound. All the mammals, marine mammals, as well known. So, how you can use this kind of sound to get information about the ocean. So how to image the ocean using this kind of sound. So what generally we call that passive tomography. One example of noise, one source of noise is the man-made noise. There are different sources of the man-made noise, shipping noise, offshore power plants, and resource exploitation. There are a lot of sources of man-made noise. There are environmental impacts. You know that in marine mammals, in fish, and so on, there's the migration paths of the fish due to the noise. There are schools dislocations, and nowadays you are developing predicting tools. This is an example we have in the background of this is a predicting tool developed by a spin-off of our lab, Mar Sensing, that using the AES information gets a picture of the sound or the sound landscape produced by ships close to the coast. So also there is some regulation, and the regulation, and now we can. This is a need to a noise assessment when we do an environmental assessment to new installations in the ocean. So how can you use the principle? Is a simple principle. For instance, now you can use the noise to track the sound speed and then temperature perturbations over the water column. We have some results on that, some simulation, not field data, but with simulation that we can track slow processes like upwelling. Okay, you can track this using ships of opportunity and a simple system. Okay, but also you can get a picture about the bottom, the layer, the structure of the bottom using noise. In this case, this is a work from Chris Harrison, and that was used wind, noise, surface wind, to get the number of layers and the structure of these layers, this kind of materials, using surface wind, using noise. The acquisition system is composed by a vertical array, and it was a drifting system, so is relatively cheap to map a relative broad area of a coastal area. This is a project. This is a project where I'm working now that is different. And here you have the passive, the active, and the passive methods to get information. This is about how the problem is how to measure the oxygen production by a seagrass meadow. Seagrass meadows are very important in the coastal areas in Mediterranean and in Portugal, and they are the earth lungs because they produce a lot of oxygen, they sequester high quantities of carbon, and in this project you want to use you want to develop a system to measure the oxygen at meadow level, not just in situ, because almost of the methods that the chemical methods that are now available you made measurements in situ, so it is difficult to measure at the meadow level. We can use acoustics. This is a setup that we have used in Starezo. Sorry. We have a simple system with a sound source and a few hydrophones, and we transmit signals, and we receive the signals and we process. So we'll show some data. This data was published in this paper. In fact, it was a work also with a professor from the Tel Aviv University, Professor Sven Beer from Tel Aviv University, that I suppose that is emeritus professor now from the Tel Aviv University. And what you can see here is we have the attenuation of the signal. This is in the up panel. This is active transmissions, and here at sunrise, the signal is highly attenuated. And why this is highly attenuated? Because they are bubbles. They are forming bubbles, and the bubbles attenuate the acoustic signal. This is very interesting because bubbles are difficult to measure in field using traditional methods, like, for instance, optodes. And what you can see here also, this is active, and here this is passive. This is the noise level in blue, and this is the dissolved oxygen in black, measured by optodes. And we can see here that is high correlation between the noise level and the dissolved oxygen. So maybe you can use this noise to track the oxygen production or the metabolism of the meadow. Otherwise, the noise, we can, here we just the noise as a wall, but you can, the different species have different signatures, and this is related to the metabolism of the ecosystem, with the state of the ecosystem. So the next step is to separate the different species and see the patterns, the changing patterns of these species along the day, okay, in order to get some information about the state of the meadow. If this is well known that in meadows where are not so in the good health, the noise level for certain species are lower. So we can know, you can have an indirect measurement of the state of the meadow. So this is this is another example. This is from a researcher from France, where I study the behavior of clams during a certain period, and you can see some interesting patterns here. Also, this is also another project from our lab. It is the Professor Sergio is the coordinator, and the idea here is to localize in real time marine mammals and then send a message to the ships that are surrounding to avoid ship strike. And finally, we are talking about how get the information. This is a need to get some instrument like a smartphone that you can deploy anywhere and get a lot of information. That will be a multi-parameter system that we can sample the sound field, but also another parameters, and get this information, and after get a picture of the ocean. In fact, it is already, this is now actually done with the smartphones. Okay, thank you.
This program was brought to you by Coller Institute of Venture at Tel Aviv University.